have you here. One of the things Jay Haven knows, in my opinion, and you can straighten me out if I'm wrong, is that from the 90s, from the early 90s, you were in the Denver circuit. I myself
Okay.
personally did not directly get involved with the circuit till 97, 98.
Yeah.
And if you remember right, heavy metal kind of took a dive in the early 90s and went really underground. It didn't die, it just went underground.
Well,
For
I
the,
don't, I beg to differ
Go
because
ahead.
from my point of view,
Right.
when you are in the forest, it's hard to see the trees,
Hmm.
so to me, it wasn't underground.
Right.
The only thing that was underground was there was a rehearsal place called the Underground,
Mhm.
and
Right.
uh, and I jammed there and for many years with different projects.
Right.
And But to me, no, I don't really think it went underground because back in the
Okay.
90s, KBPI and even KZY,
Hmm.
um, you know, Bengals advertised on there, the
Hmm.
Broadway advertised on radio, and
Right.
it was quite the kick. It's like, and tonight at Bengals we got Sleepless Nights,
Hmm.
Chaos Theory, or whoever widget band out there. I always
Sure.
got a kick out of that. I loved it. I
Right.
loved
Okay. Okay. Well, the reason your point of view is very different than mine, which was what makes this archive great, is that, in 90, when I got to Denver in 94, when it came to music, I just kind of went to the cover clubs. I didn't know who to look for or who to listen to and other whatnots.
it.
And,
Right.
that's why I kind of brought up kind of the underground. Then I remember meeting you at Cricket on the Hill in
Yeah, I love
1997.
Cricket on the Hill was one of the best places.
Mm,
They treated everybody like royalty. I mean, if
mm,
you if you brought in a good crowd on a nightly
mm,
or a nightly basis, or when you pulled a show off there,
mhm.
man, they took care of us. And and
Right.
we and we had a thing with the cricket, where with when I was in Gods of Pain,
Hmm.
our thing was, free shots of whiskey up at the bar. And
Hmm.
what we would do is we would literally buy a bottle at
Hmm.
cost from the bar,
Sure.
and free shots of whiskey up at the bar. Go grab
Hmm.
yourself a shot. Um, Make sure to tip your waiters and waitresses really well because they're
Right.
making the party happen, and we're here to make the party happen and have a good
Hmm.
time doing it. And
Right. Sure.
I love doing that.
Now, in terms of the clubs from the mid late 90s, we speak well of the cricket. Now, let's talk about some of the suburban joints like TNRs
I
and
never
Oil
played
Can Airs.
there.
You never played TNRs?
No, believe that.
Okay. Okay. Did you ever play Oil Can Harry's?
I played Oil Can Harry's.
Okay. Well, I found that a very difficult place to get your foot in the door. How did you manage to get in?
Just a demo tape.
Was it okay? Now you dealt with Cindy, right?
I believe so.
Right. Okay, because in terms of a club, in terms of its environment, I enjoyed Oil Cans as much as any other club. It was just a bummer when Barb Guy shared with us that basically the city of Northland wanted to demo the building. They got bought out pretty good.
Right.
But, you know, I just if there was any place I could have like a Star Trek holodeck, to recreate certain rooms, the cricket would be one, and Oil Cans would be another.
Right. I mean, there are intimate places to play at.
They
And
were
that was what was the draw, I think.
right.
But
Yeah.
we played all over the place. I played all over the place, and
Right. Okay. Now, if you could, what were some places that were really they were you had what's the word I'm looking for? There were places like, okay, we played there and we really didn't, you didn't feel you got, it was the best place. What were the three best and what were the three you're like, what do you think?
I would say the big three for the best,
Hmm.
in my opinion, for that era was
Hmm.
Bengals,
Hmm.
the Broadway,
Hmm.
Alibis,
Right.
and they were all relatively close to one another.
Hmm.
I don't really have a worst place to really that I can speak of. Maybe the Wooden Nickel.
Right.
That, that was kind of, I think it was just so far out that people weren't
Hmm.
willing to make the drive because let's face it, people want to go out, they want to drink, they want to have fun,
Right.
and I think the responsible nature of a lot of people that were going out to see
Hmm.
the bands play, they want to go have fun and they want to party, but they also don't want to risk DUI.
Right. Yeah. There was no Uber or Lyft back then. And
No,
I
not
took,
really. I mean, a cab, you take a cab or have a
well,
designated driver, what have you,
sure.
but that was also kind of the appeal too, because by the same token, people that were going to, like, say, the Wood Nickel,
Hmm.
uh, that was their place, and they didn't want to drive downtown
Hmm. Sure.
Glendale or
Right.
downtown Denver.
Now, let's go back to 1082 because I remember that was the boiler room downstairs, right?
What's that?
The boiler room, 1082 Broadway. Wasn't that the place? Wasn't that called the boiler room?
I never played there. That was below
No.
Bengals, I believe.
Okay.
I'm
All
not, I
right.
mean, below the Broad,
Okay. All
I
right. Okay.
believe. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the Buffalo Rose. The Buffalo Rose was an easier place to get to than get in than I thought it would be, but it was hard to
Yes,
promote. Was that the same for you?
it was hard to promote because there's the same scenario where, you're up in Golden and not a lot of people from Denver or Aurora are willing to make the truck up to the foothills to Golden. So
Right.
you had the area locals up there that you'd be playing for.
Right.
Now, if you were opening for like a national or doing a
Hmm.
big showcase with multiple bands, then we would get lucky. We'd have our following follow us up there. Just because, well, other bands were playing and everything like that.
Hmm. Right. Now, because my Buffalo Rose experience, I remember getting there. I believe the guy name was Bob Nicholson, if I'm not mistaken. This was in the late 90s, if I
Right?
recall right. He would give, give bands, the original bands, Wednesday and Thursday night, and there had to be three sets played, 150 per night. So let's just say that, my band, I called you up, hey, can Gods, play Wednesday opening slot, you know, out of 150, we give you $50. And that's how most bands did it, if I recall right.
Yeah, there wasn't very much money in it, that's for sure. No.
Right,
There, but I backtrack on that too. It depends on the night.
right.
And there's been nights where, multiple bands played
Hmm.
and we walked out of there, with 90 to 140 bucks in our
Right,
pocket.
sure, sure. Now, what I was going to say, now, you being of the promoter store, doing flyers and other whatnots, when you discovered the internet, and when was that? And musically, as in promotion, how did you see the internet, and what did you do with it?
Well, I mean, I promote shows on, back in the day, it was like MySpace and so forth. And,
Hmm.
just plaster your posters up on your page and let all your friends know that way.
Right.
You
Because,
know, um, it's a great tool. I mean, I wish I was more computer savvy back in the day, but
right. Well, it was one of those things. As I remember when the internet, came out in the mid '90s and America Online, and I'm just like, okay, this doesn't sound bad, but what the hell am I going to do with it? And I would say really didn't, really get serious about learning it until like 1997. Then when Napster came out and that Metallica thing came out, my gut feeling's just like the internet could destroy the music industry. What was your take on
Metallica
that?
Metallica destroyed the music industry single-handedly. In my opinion, I'll tell you why. Because
Sure, go ahead.
before they even realized what they had in their hands, Oh
Hmm.
yeah, well, bring your tape recorders and bring this and bring that and
Right.
record our shows and share it with your friends.
Right.
Well, an Napstar came along and then they started going and doing the same thing. And then finally they tried to fight it
Hmm.
before they realized what they had done. The cat was already out of the bag
Hmm.
and it was too late. And then, they shot to the top mega stars.
Hmm.
But they single now with okay, like I'm a member of BMI and this and that, and royalties and
Hmm.
airplay and all that. I'm relatively familiar with.
Right.
Um, Now, I mean, and I'll quote, Ozzy's Boneyard, and when Ozzy was still above ground, he's going effectively. Music is essentially free,
Hmm.
and the only way to really make money is selling your merch
Hmm.
and
Right.
selling tickets to get people to your show.
Right.
It's not like if you can sell a tape or CD,
Hmm.
but now good luck, and then that's where ASCAP and
Hmm.
I come in advocating for the musician.
Right. Sure. Okay. My take on was the whole thing is just that Metallica came across really greedy. I don't think they were 100% incorrect. The mistake I personally felt they made was that they went after Napster by themselves. They, they didn't go, team up with other artists and come across like a unified greedy group. I thought they came
Right.
across alone, and that to me really hurt them.
I tend to agree. It hurt them in the long run, and it hurt a lot of other musicians in the
Hmm.
aftermath of all of that.
Right. And considering that you're still active, you still play to this day, what is what are the things, what have been the trade-offs? You didn't have to worry about it 30 years ago, you have to worry about it now, and vice versa.
I didn't hear some of that. You broke up.
No, 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 go ahead. Um, my big thing is, in the 90s, there's things that we had to do then that we don't have to do now. Like example for like initial auditions. We can just put our camera phone on, play a few things and send it off. Back
Yeah,
in the
and
90s, right.
right. You had to load up the gear, and you had to drag your butt down to open rehearsals, set up
Hmm.
and see and play. And that's really still not the bad way to go. I mean, you get the feel for people's personalities. But no, my last project, it was here's 3 songs, learn them, record yourself, send them back.
Hmm.
And that's how I got my last gig.
Right.
And it worked out okay, but still there's a missing, who are these guys? And I'm not gonna mention any names, but
No, of course.
they kind of turned out to be less than stellar personalities. I'll leave it at that.
Sure. No, no, that's a fair assessment. Um, the thing I'm getting is that Jay, you remember well that, when you went out and flyered, you went out to clubs, you went out and tried talking to people. I don't see that anymore. I see
No,
people
there's
just
a you're 100% right. There's a complete disconnect.
right,
You may see one guy go out and throw some flyers out on some tables or post them at the door or wherever they allow them to post, but far and large anymore, it's all on the internet.
right. Okay.
You promote to your friends because everybody's on everybody's Facebook or what have
Mm,
you, and everybody's, clickety clickety click. Let's get this show rolling.
right. Did you ever do a mailing list?
Oh God, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
many bands we did mailing lists, and we would religiously mail out a newsletter, you know, list of
Right.
shows where we're playing and what we're up to and how to
Right.
how to see us, where to see us,
Right.
get merch.
Okay.
It got expensive real quick.
I was going to say, it's like if you did a newsletter, that required a stamp. Now, wasn't there a time for postcards? Weren't the stamps cheaper for those?
Yeah, we never did postcards.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
we stuffed envelopes like brochures
Sure.
and lick them and stick them and send them out.
Right.
Yeah.
And out of a percentage for each, let's see, for each 100 you send out, how many came back to your show
Oh,
for every 100?
we got a pretty good return
Was it
on,
good?
but it
Right.
was still expensive. And,
Mm.
it's hit or miss, I mean,
Right.
on weekday shows, they're always difficult. Who wants to
Mm.
come out on a school night?
Right. Sure. No, makes sense. And I'm going to go ahead and jump up to another topic, and that is, you're still active, AI and music. And how do you see
I
live
think,
music in the?
well, you know, I think people are going to get really bored really fast with seeing somebody push a button.
Hmm.
And it's going to start to wane. It's having its heyday right now because it's all new technology.
I'm sure.
But the live performance and the live element of real musicians playing real
Hmm.
music that they really wrote,
Hmm.
I mean, that's what music's all about.
Right. Where do you see it in the year 2100?
Um, that's a really good question, and I've been trying to ponder that. I think music will come full circle. It will never be the same as what you and me know,
Sure.
but I believe that, it will evolve into its own entity and it'll rebound back in some sort of different light.
Hmm.
I mean, rock and roll is always going to be rock and roll,
Right.
but how's it going to be interpreted by my kids or
Right.
my kids' kids
Right. And
and their kids?
generations of
You
Havens
know,
down onward.
I mean,
Eh,
Glenn Campbell and Frank Sinatra. Yeah,
hmm.
there's some stuff there, but
Okay. Okay. Another big question that everybody has a different opinion on it. When it comes to live music, how much of a percentage of it is the band, and how much of a percentage is it the sound guy?
oh, it's 50-50 on that. What goes
Hmm.
in goes out. And I've
Right.
always held that long belief.
Hmm.
And your sound man is your best friend.
Hmm.
And you treat him good, and they'll treat you good as well.
Right.
Um, it's a two-way street.
Right.
But I mean, if you go up there with crappy instruments, dirty strings, your bass isn't going to sound very good, and that's going to come
No.
through the front of the house.
Right. Did you ever mic your bass, or was it always DI?
Yeah, I was direct.
Yeah, me too. I always did it
I've
that
had
way.
I'd have people mic up my stuff, but um, my to be honest with you, the last couple shows,
Hmm.
I just used my dark glass head, and I didn't even bring a speaker.
Really?
I went direct through the house, and they balanced the monitors and everything. I could hear everything,
Hmm.
and it sounded great.
Right.
And my back felt real good the next day because I didn't have to hum.
Right.
My 412 or my 8x10 JB my 8x10 God, what was it playing? SWR rig,
Right.
you know, cabinet alone weighed 150 pounds as a boat anchor.
Right. Ouch.
Now my gear's all streamlined. I use dark glass
Mm.
equipment, and it's phenomenal. Great sound.
Okay. Let's go back to the year 2100. If you remember the Black Sabbath's final performance in Birmingham earlier this year, July 5th,
Right.
did you see any of it?
Bits and pieces of it.
Actually, I have the full thing if you want it, by the way. It's 25
Yeah,
gig. Send me a hard drive, I'll send it back to you. But I do have the whole thing.
right.
I firmly feel that heavy metal is here to stay.
I do
Even,
too.
yeah, even in the year 2100, the question for me about the 2100, again, we're going back to the live music. How much of it is going to be human? How much is this is it? Could we possibly see a solo artist play with AI backup bands?
It's very well possible. And I'll tell you, if I was to pick a name out of the air
Hmm,
who would be a pioneer of that,
would
it'd be
be
Chance Gallagher.
okay.
He's a phenomenal player, gifted
Hmm,
beyond belief,
right.
and he does a solo show.
Hmm,
And from what I hear, it's absolutely terrific.
right. I'm going to name some national artists. And you can say yes, no, and elaborate. If they had the chance to use, if they could go be in the 20 year 2100 and just have anybody else in the band be AI or Android or robot, would they use it? I'll start with Yngwie Malmsteen.
No, his attitude is he is all him,
Hmm,
and he's in control. And I've had the good fortune to open up for him,
hmm,
and he's something else, I'll tell you.
right. The reason I thought that he probably would is because he doesn't like being questioned. That's the impression I've gotten from him.
Well,
Yeah,
that's where I go with controlling.
right.
It's his way. Don't question. This is how it is.
Right. How about Kiss?
Kiss just sold their entire catalog. They would be content with that. Um, they're already content with having a bunch of other bands do
Hmm,
their tribute shows and so forth. I think old
hmm.
Gene would want to be paid for that.
You're probably right. How
He's
about
probably
Ozzy?
pissed about that, but hey,
How about Ozzy?
no, I think Ozzy's too old school. I believe Ozzy's more traditional.
Okay. Joe Satriani.
I'm not really a big fan, so
Okay.
I would say probably.
Right. Because the reason I asked this question is because, live music, the way we've done it, I believe that there's going to be some that are going to say, this is the way it's been, that's the way it always should be, and God bless them. But
Yeah.
we both know how American corporate culture works. And now we've got solo artists. They're playing, these solo artists, they're playing one man band stuff, with all this software, which I'm sure you're well aware of.
hmm
Question is, how far in 75 years is that going to go?
I don't think it's going to go that far, to be honest with you. It's going to come back to a point where the bird is going to come home to roost.
Hmm,
And people, audiences are going to want to see a show. They don't want to see a guy push a button for half an hour.
right. Okay. 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 Moving, just in conclusion, um, can you see AI doing vocals for live music?
Maybe helping with lyrics,
Right. I'm
but
just
to actual put a voice to music, I wouldn't buy it.
right.
I mean, I guess it could be done, but would I be a champion for it? No.
No, neither would I. I think it would look really tacky and impersonal to me.
It would just be a bunch of guys up there. You might as well just be lip syncing at that point.
Hmm,
Here's a
sure.
band. Where's our singer? Oh, it's a hologram. Like
Right.
the last Illusion with Dio. It's a
Mm,
hologram of Dio.
right. I'll never go to a hologram show. Oh,
I've never been just because it doesn't appeal.
right. That's two of us. Let's go back to Ozzy. How much? how much was Ozzy influencing on your music?
Oh,
You
from the
can,
very beginning,
mm-hmm,
from the very beginning. Um, I started listening to, rock and roll. Humble Pie was my first rock and roll record that I ever bought.
mm-hmm,
Kiss came and went, Ozzy came and stayed. Um, had the pleasure of seeing Randy Rhoads in
mm-hmm,
Boulder as the last performance. Um, I've had uh, I've had backstage to Ozzy's shows at stadiums.
mm-hmm,
Um, just it's a huge influence. I mean, and
right,
I know a lot of people say the same thing.
right,
Not Ozzy so much himself, but me being a bass player,
mm-hmm,
the likes of Rudy Sarzo and others.
right,
That's what hooked me in.
right,
Although a lot of Ozzy Osbourne stuff, the bass
mm-hmm.
lines to me seem obscure, kind of.
Sure. No, that makes, I can see that view. I might be in the minority, but my favorite Aussie era was Jakey Lee.
I tend to agree
Hmm.
a little bit, but Ozzy's first two records with Randy Rhoads, they're classic.
I don't disagree with that, but I'm just going to say over time, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, I think Randy's tone. I don't want to say it hasn't aged well. I'm just simply saying it's a little high, don't you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've never thought of it too deeply, to be honest.
Right. Well, my favorite Randy Rhoads is his cover of Children of the Grave off Tribute.
Okay.
I thought it was amazing. Blew my mind.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, he's a
total,
gifted player.
he's an incredible player. And one final Aussie thought about Randy. There were, rumors about him saying Randy, after Diary of a Madman, was going to leave. Do you agree with that or disagree with that?
Oh no, I mean it's fact. I mean, because he wanted to go back and continue his studies
Right,
and teach
right,
through his mom's school, and that so forth there.
right.
Um, and yeah, I mean, it's hard to say where had he lived, where his legacy would have taken him.
Sure.
But I
And
don't think he would have hung it up for good. I think
no,
he would
no.
have taken a small break. I think he
Mhm.
would have come back
Right,
stronger, better, and his strength was his determination. Okay, and he
sure.
just wanted to get better.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on. I've one of the sections in the archive is I've been asking people how they got their band names. Like, I've asked you more about more, the Marlett brothers about Peace, Love, and Destruction, Depth Charge, Silencer. Now it's your turn. You were an assassin. Gods of Pain. How did that name originate, and what went on in on that?
Okay, well, when I first got with them, okay, they were just pain.
Okay.
And just one night around the round table, we're having Bloody Marys and
Hmm.
like we are gods. We are gods of pain. And
Right,
stuck.
right. And now, did you kick that off, or was that George?
No, I kicked that off.
Did you kick that one up?
Yeah.
Explain your relationship with George Burke to me.
Lifelong friends.
Right. You know,
Lifelong friends, known him over 40 years.
right.
And we've always been buds. He's always
Mm,
been just a stand-up good guy. It's just
no, right. Now, tell me about the Voodoo doll for the Gods of Pain stage act, the Voodoo doll.
oh yeah, we had a lot of stage antics
Yes, you
to
did. That's what
begin with.
I want you talking about that.
Okay. The voodoo dolls, he would make these voodoo dolls and we'd throw them out. He'd throw them out at the crowd.
Right. And okay, the reason I bring that up is I can actually directly vouch at the Zone at Silencer's first show. George threw a voodoo doll. I caught it. So I was like, burn it, burn the voodoo doll. And I did, you know, saying Gods of Pain was a memorable act. And Gods of Pain can say something that not a lot of bands can do. You guys got paid $1,000 for a set at the Adams Mark Hotel. We
Yeah.
talked about it, earlier, before we joined forces at the archive. Tell us that experience.
Well, we became friends with the guys that ran Rinky Brothers Haunted
Hmm.
Mansion.
Right.
Okay, and we'd go down there to their store and we'd buy our flash paper because I'd shoot fire out of the end of my guitar, as
Hmm.
hokey as it was what it was. We'd buy our makeup there. We'd buy
Hmm.
stuff down there, headstones
Right.
for, whatever. And it was just a fun place to go. And, we over the years we talked, and finally one night we were playing at the cricket, and the guys came to our show and they seen our show and our theatrics and everything, and
Hmm.
they approached us with the gig and said, we're doing a Halloween party at the Adams Mark Hotel
Hmm.
and we'd like you to be a part of it.
Okay.
Now, not only did we make $1,000 on the gig,
Hmm.
George was in, I forget, I believe he was in either California, and he was on vacation, and the show was set.
Hmm.
They not only paid us $1,000, but they paid to change his flight arrangement so he could get in town
Hmm.
and do the show.
Right.
And that was a lot of fun. And they were
Right.
they were good people, and we were not the only band there. There was a cover band, and
Hmm.
um, but that was a real fun evening. We had a blast with that.
Okay. Yeah. Because I remember seeing that. I was just seeing Halloween, Gods of Pain, Adams Mark Hotel. I'm like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big night for us.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
big night.
Right. And instead, just like, the theatrics the Gods of Pain offered, it's nothing anybody else in the circuit did. You know.
No, and there was a lot of people that are trying were and still trying to duplicate, whether indirectly or directly, what we were doing.
Right. Now,
There's
you
some
said,
bands down here in Arizona that whoa, man, they blow your mind.
mm-hmm. Now, okay, explain to me again how you had spark shooting out your base. Is that what you
Yeah, I
said?
had this little apparatus that I still have the thing
Mm-hmm.
that it velcroed to the back my headstock of my bass,
Mm-hmm.
and you load it with some flash paper, and when you're ready, you hit the button and off it
Right.
goes.
Right. Now, all right, let's move on to the media. In your experiences, we'll start with Euphony Music News. Did you ever have any interactions with Bonita Berger? Did you ever do an interview
Oh yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
what?
yeah, 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 yeah. We talked with her extensively.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if you've ever seen the Gods of Pain promo shot.
Did not. Do you still have it?
I do. It's on the wall. Here, let me show you. Okay, now there's a story behind this. I don't know if do you see
There it
that?
is. I see it.
Um, that photo at the time, I was working in an apartment complex
Hmm.
and demoing apartments and remodeling the units.
Right.
I was in an apartment building, in an apartment unit, two-bedroom
Hmm.
apartment. Um, Trashed everything out of it. We turned it into a photo session.
Well, okay.
Benita was a photographer for this session,
Hmm.
and I think we scared the shit out of her because I and she that was the last time we ever really spoke.
Hmm.
And then shortly after Euphony Music News went away,
Hmm.
I think we scared her out of it. I think we scared her out of it. But no, we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of
Right.
fun, as a band. We all got along really well.
Hmm. Right.
Um, we just couldn't find the right drummer. We went
Right.
through 14 drummers in
Right.
the 7 years or whatever we played together.
Right.
Um, but good times.
Right. Okay. As as I've read through the old Euphony copies I've been reading, I really appreciated what Bonita was trying to do, but also under the same token, I think she was, she was poking a lot of people the wrong way. It's like I'm doing this, I'm doing this for you, buy my magazine, all that. I'm like, it's like Bonita, for each one step you're taking forward, that's like taking a step back. That was my observation.
Right.
You know,
You did have to pay for some advertising if you wanted to
right,
pay for advertising, but she'd do reviews of all the bands and
right. Now,
I love that. I loved it.
right. I was okay with that, but looking back, Jay, and this is my observation. Reviewing reviewing bands, reviewing bands and asking them for money. And let's say the band, the review, let's just say someone observes it and they didn't think very highly of it. They print that up and they're like, okay, we don't like your CD. Can I still have money for advertising?
Yeah, no. No, I mean, eh, yeah, she took it upon herself to be a critic at some point
Right,
in some ways. And no, a lot of people don't like their band being panned.
right.
You know,
And
if and what she should have done is had other people do the reviews
mm-hmm,
and
that's what I
protect her
was thinking.
name instead
Right.
of doing it. And I think she did that towards the end, but I
Right.
think in the end it was, it couldn't have lasted forever. They never do.
No, of course they don't. You're absolutely right on that. I would just, well, the big thing, and the one thing I agree with her on 100% is that we should all be in charge of our own destinies. I've always agreed with her on that statement. One thing I never agreed with her is that you go up and telling bands, I want your money, I'm going to review your stuff, and by the way, I can get you listened to. That's one thing I'm like, Bonita, why are you telling people this?
Right.
You
So
know,
she did rub a lot of people wrong in the scene.
right,
And it is what it is. I mean,
right.
you can't change that.
No, you can't. I would simply say is because it, I discovered over time is that Barb Dye, who I think is one of the greatest people to be part of, the Denver music circuit. She always had a
Helped a
helping
lot
hand.
of people out.
Yep, and a lot of people out. And she threw, Barb got thrown under the bus more than once by Bonita. And I'm discovering that happened more
Yeah.
frequently. And I'm like,
Well,
why?
there is a lot, there is a love-hate thing. I think a lot of people felt that they weren't getting the attention they thought they deserved from Barb.
Right,
And I've seen it on both sides of of the channel. There's been bands that we were not even on her radar.
right.
But then, another band that I join up with, it's like, oh yeah, you're the bee's knees, man. And
Mm-hmm.
she just, she was opinionated. She has a good ear, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you just got to take that, and run with it. It's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
it's not her thing. You move on,
Right,
put on your
right.
big boy shoes, and you get walking.
Right, right. I going back to the media, I remember the Go Cultures, one of their first issues had Gods of Pain in it. And you did the interview with Rod, and I remember, I just discovered the Blitz Room partially halfway because of your interview. You said, "Hey, if you want to, if you want to get booked, go see Bill Terrell at the Blitz Room. Area 39 is not the place to go."
Yeah, Area 39, um, that was Taylor's place. Now, we played there. We played there once. We did a show with Moore.
Right.
But you know, the place had potential,
Right.
but I don't know. The place had potential. I thought the stage was good. We had good sound. I don't know why it didn't take,
Right.
and it should have done better,
Right.
especially because of Mr. Garcia's reputation, because he's not a slouch. He's
Mm,
a hardworking, devoted musician
mm,
with deep ties in the music local scene.
right.
And he put us in there. He let us
Right.
play.
Right. Okay. Is that I don't have any history with the guy. I don't have negative history. I just our paths almost never crossed. They did cross once in the Denver indie film circuit in the 2010s.
Yeah.
That happened there. So I don't have a negative opinion about the
No,
guy.
I probably threw that out because we probably didn't get paid very
Mm,
well.
right.
It was hard to get people to come out to the show to begin with.
Right.
Um,
Mm,
and I don't think it was I don't think that was a personal attack.
no, it's not.
And if it was taken that way, I think it was taken out of context.
Okay.
And with that, if you're out there, Taylor, sorry about that, buddy. Um, so no, but I didn't really, I didn't have it, I didn't have a bad experience there.
Mm,
It's hard to play for empty bar stools.
right.
There's an old saying, it's harder to play for warm empty bar stools than it is for
Mm,
cold empty bar stools. And
right.
the bar stools were cold,
Right. Sure.
meaning there was nobody there.
Right. Um, did you ever get airplay on KBPI?
Yes,
Yes, you did.
yeah, we
And
paid
how?
$100 to get it done, but yeah, we Willie B was doing a fundraiser for some wildfires. And I think it was the Deckers fire up in that area
Mhm,
where that ranger,
mhm,
female ranger, burned a love letter and left it
mhm.
unattended. I
Right.
think that was that. Make a donation, bring your stuff, I'll get it on the air.
Okay. So okay. And
And yeah, I had airplay.
did you get airplay? Because I never gave one of those. I never gave KBPI. I think I didn't even think it was worth my time to even contemplate doing that. But some other people had success. I had none. So
Right.
um. Did you ever get on the Ogden, Bluebird, or Gothic?
Ah, the yeah, I did shows at both. I did shows the Gothic, I did shows at the Bluebird, did shows at the Lions Lair, and
Mm,
the trick was if you play the Lions Lair, you get into the Bluebird
right.
because
Out
it
of
was owned
those,
by the same guy.
right, it was NIPP. Out of
Yeah.
those three, Ogden, Bluebird, Gothic, what was your favorite and why?
Uh, I would have to say the Ogden. I'd have to say the Ogden for sure because that was one of the places where I played for one of my largest crowds.
Right. Okay. What
I
was
think that
love?
was Vince Neil.
Was that for Vince Neil? Okay.
Yeah.
I've always
Um,
wa
yeah, Ogden.
the Ogden always had parking problems, I thought.
Yeah, Vince Neil,
Yeah,
Ogden.
there it is. Right. Yeah. So you did that gig.
Yeah.
We're for the we're going to be talking about opening for nationals in the January Zoom monthly.
Cool.
So definitely save those for then if you want to come join us.
Yeah,
But
I definitely want to participate in something like that for sure.
okay, that will be January 3rd. Um, Last part, the people you'd like to send a shout to who made a difference for you, and simply say, hey, who do you want to thank?
Right off the top of my head, I'd like to thank Barb Dye.
Hmm.
I'd like to thank all the guys in Assassin. I'd like to thank all the guys in Sleepless Nights. I'd like to thank all the guys in Side Effect,
Hmm.
um, Tribe,
Hmm.
um, Candelario.
Hmm.
There's a long list of people that I've
Hmm.
played with, and I can honestly say this, sure, feelings get hurt because you have so much passion in something, okay?
Hmm.
And when it comes to an end, it hurts a little bit.
Hmm.
But the reality is the joy and pleasure I got out of being in those bands, playing for
Hmm.
all those people
Hmm.
was what made it worthwhile. And
Hmm.
for that, I thank each and every one of them.
Hmm.
God's Pain, all of them, everybody,
Hmm.
Attic
Hmm.
Toys, so many bands that I played with. And, had I not met any of them, none of this would
Hmm.
be, I would have not been able to experience what I've experienced. And I consider
Sure.
it to be blessing.
Sure.
Goddamn lucky.
Right. I gotta ask, your son in metal, has he taken to it?
No, I don't want to listen to Ozzy's Boneyard. So, I'm hoping he grows out of this. It's not dad's music, it's our music.
Right. Right.
But he sure likes to bang on my drums,
Right. Okay. I was
you
like,
know.
I was just going to say, it's like, I hope he doesn't, I hope he doesn't bruise your heart too bad.
No, well,
Yeah.
he's a good kid and I
Yeah.
love him to death.
Right.
He's
So,
awesome. He's growing up too fast.
yeah, I can believe that, and, I would just simply say, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording here, Jay. I'm going to